There are moments when the internet starts whispering about something that sounds almost absurd, a rumor that feels half like a joke, half like a warning, and then it doesn't go away. Over the past few weeks, something unusual has been happening. On a prediction market called Polymarket, the odds of United States acquiring Greenland this year quietly climbed, then climbed again, until they reached an all-time high. No official announcement, no press conference, no headline saying deal imminent, just a number moving upward, and people noticing. So tonight, I want to slow this story down, because the real question isn't whether the US will buy Greenland. The real question is why so many people suddenly think it's more likely than ever. What do they see that others don't? And what are most people completely misunderstanding about this moment? Stay with me, because the answer has less to do with land and much more to do with power, security, and a changing world order. The idea of the United States acquiring Greenland is not new. In fact, it's older than most people realize. During World War II, the U.S. quietly moved into Greenland to prevent Nazi Germany from using it as a military outpost. Later, during the Cold War, America built air bases there, including Thule Air Base, still one of the most strategically important locations in the Arctic. Greenland, on a map, looks distant and isolated, but geopolitically, it sits at the crossroads of North America, Europe, and the Arctic. It is not just ice, it is proximity, it is radar coverage, it is shipping lanes that are slowly opening as the climate changes. In 2019, then-President Donald Trump openly floated the idea of buying Greenland from Denmark. The reaction was swift. Denmark said no. Greenland said no. Many laughed. But behind the jokes, something important happened. The idea entered the mainstream, and more importantly, it signaled that Greenland was no longer a forgotten territory on the edge of the map. It was now openly recognized as a strategic prize. Fast forward to today, the world feels more tense, more fragmented, more competitive, and suddenly that old idea doesn't sound as ridiculous to some people as it once did. If you scroll through social media right now, you'll see a mix of reactions. Some people are convinced a secret deal is already underway. Others believe this is about rare earth minerals. Some say it's about China. Others say it's about Russia. A few think it's just online speculation spiraling out of control. On Polymarket, traders are putting real money behind their beliefs. And that's important because prediction markets don't measure truth, they measure collective expectation. They capture what people think will happen, not what should happen. Still, when odds move sharply, it tells us something about sentiment. It tells us that a growing number of people believe the conditions for a major geopolitical shift are aligning. But belief is not evidence. And this is where many viewers start to feel uneasy. Because when rumors mix with money and global politics, it becomes hard to separate signal from noise. So let's do that carefully. Let's step away from speculation and look at what is actually happening. First, an important fact. There is no confirmed negotiation for the United States to acquire Greenland. None. No treaty discussions, no legislative process, no official proposal accepted by Denmark or Greenland's government. So why are the odds moving? The answer lies in signals, not deals. Over the past year, the United States has increased its focus on the Arctic. Military investments have become quieter but deeper. Diplomatic language around Arctic security has become more serious, and competition with both Russia and China in polar regions is now openly acknowledged in policy circles. Greenland sits right in the middle of this shift, not as a commodity, but as infrastructure. Think of it less like buying a house and more like securing a critical bridge. Second, Greenland itself is changing. Its government has been pushing for greater autonomy from Denmark. There's an internal conversation about long-term independence, economic, political, and cultural. That does not mean Greenland wants to join the United States, but it does mean its future status is not frozen in place. Third, Polymarket traders are reacting to probability, not announcements. If even a small chance appears more plausible than before, odds move. And sometimes those odds move because people see risk, not opportunity. Risk of instability, risk of miscalculation, risk that the Arctic becomes the next arena of great power competition. In other words, the market isn't saying this will happen, it's saying this no longer feels impossible. That distinction matters. Here's the part that rarely gets discussed. Acquiring Greenland would not be a real estate transaction. It would be a constitutional, diplomatic, and cultural earthquake. Greenland is not empty land. It is home to people, language, history, identity. Any change in sovereignty would require consent, legitimacy, and long-term trust. And there's another overlooked detail. The United States already gets most of what it wants from Greenland without owning it. Military access, strategic positioning, intelligence reach. Ownership adds complexity, not clarity. So why does the idea keep resurfacing? Because it acts as a symbol of how aggressively nations are thinking about the future, about resources, about geography, about security in a warming world. The market is reacting less to Greenland itself and more to the mindset of the people in power. That's the real aha moment. In the short term, expect more noise, more speculation, more headlines, and more online debates that treat this like a binary outcome. In the long term, the trend is clearer. The Arctic will matter more. Small regions will carry outsized importance, and quiet strategic positioning will continue behind closed doors. Greenland will remain central to that story, whether or not any flag ever changes. And prediction markets like Polymarket will continue to act as mirrors. Not mirrors of reality, but mirrors of collective anxiety, expectation, and imagination. They don't predict the future. They reveal how people feel about it. So when you hear that the odds of the U.S. acquiring Greenland are at an all-time high, pause for a moment. Ask what that really reflects. Not secret contracts, not sudden decisions, but a world that feels less stable than it used to. A world where geography is becoming destiny again. And a world where even old, dismissed ideas are being quietly re-examined. Clarity comes from not believing every rumor. It comes from understanding why those rumors appear in the first place. And sometimes the most important story isn't about what will happen, it's about why so many people think it might happen. Take that thought with you, and I'll see you in the next one.